Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. It's a first on this channel. This is the first time I've ever reviewed a Torchwood episode, and in the spirit of Valentine's Day, I thought I'll review the episode from Series 1, Cyberwoman, because nothing is more romantic than a man saving the woman he loves from being converted into a full-blown Cyberman. Just in case you don't know the plot, this episode revolves around Yanto, who is keeping a secret from the rest of the Torchwood gang. Deep inside Torchwood's base of operation is his girlfriend Lisa, who was semi-converted into a Cyberman at the Battle of Canary Wharf, aka the Series 2 finale for Doctor Who, Doomsday. However, things go quickly wrong, and now it's up to Jack and the team to stop the Cyberwoman from escaping the Torchwood base, whatever it takes. Full disclaimer here, I didn't really watch Torchwood when it first came out in 2006. I kind of carried on that journey through Children on Earth and Miracle Day. I watched those series more. And the reason why was I didn't quite like how it was being advertised at the time. And it was, I remember it very clearly. They were basically saying it's dark, good, it's edgy, great, it's sci-fi, fantastic, and it's sexy. Because when I think of sci-fi and sexy, especially at that time, I just thought of Lex. And yeah, the less said about that, the better. So I'm going into this episode fresh-faced, only watched this a few days ago, and yeah, let's crack on with this review. First off, how young was Gareth David Lloyd here as Yanto? I remember really seeing him, like I said, in Children on Earth and Miracle Day, and obviously with Jack and Gwen in the Series 4 finale of Doctor Who, Stolen Earth and Journey's End. But between those 2 years, I mean, he definitely grew up because he was just a little baby here. I felt Yanto was the right character to have this kind of storyline. It was a toss up really between Yanto or Tosh that could have had this storyline, but I think they definitely went in the right direction with Yanto being a sort of a background character at this point in time in Series 1. So those was kind of like his big debut, really. This was written by Chris Chibnall, former Doctor Who showrunner, and already, yeah, you can kind of get his classic Doctor Who roots from there because, well, let's talk about the Cyberwoman. You know, this is a fully fledged costume of this woman, where really it was kind of set in stone, well, kind of set in stone in Series 2 of Doctor Who, that they were basically removing the brain to replace into the full armor of the Cyberman, where here it was kind of a bit like the old Mondasian Cybermen taking the full body. And let's talk about the Cyberwoman costume because, yeah, they were really aiming for the horny teenage boys and girls in 2006. I'm pretty sure that was kind of the remit for BBC Three, I suppose, at the time. You let me know. But yeah, the full-on TNA in this costume, really. Bikini bottoms, chest area, and high heels. Yeah, no sexism going off in the cyber race at this point. No, we are having high heels. Even Russell T Davies had a bit of a head scratching moment with, okay, I'm not sure why they're going with that, but you know, it's their project. Off you go. So yeah, I again, this is why I kind of shied away, sorry, from Torchwood, because doing the dark and sexy sci-fi just didn't really mix. You can do that in so many other better ways by just having strong characters, strong female characters. That's all you need to do. Having said that, the concept of the Cyberwoman itself is the most interesting part of this episode. Just she's still having the feelings for Yanto and still kind of want to have that back, but also having the Cybermen sort of remit stuck in her head as well. It's all just got messed up and mashed up. You know, she still wants to convert people, but at the same time wants to be with Yanto. And in her flawed way, the best way of her doing that is to basically either swap brains with someone else or convert Yanto. That's kind of the conflict going on there. And it's sort of same goes with Yanto as well. He's desperate to save the woman that he loves, Lisa, and have what they had. But it was too far gone already. But it was, when you're in that kind of denial, that heartbreaking denial, letting someone go because she's there in the flesh. He can hear, see her, and then obviously when she started to breathe on her own without any sort of augmentations from the Cybermen. It's heartbreaking stuff. It's sort of like so close, but yet so far. What I also liked from this episode, it was a based under siege type story. It's been tried and tested many a time, which is fine, but it worked for this gang. They're still getting to know each other. They're all sort of playful at the beginning, playing basketball, messing around with the pterodactyl. What? Completely forgot they had a pterodactyl until I watched Cyberwoman. But they're still not quite a fully formed unit. I think Jack thinks he's got the greatest team, but they're still just all over the place in terms of unity. And what I kind of appreciated from this episode, and probably how they did the rest of series 1 of Torchwood, is they're not as good as the Doctor. If they came in, basically, if Captain Jack Harkness was basically the Doctor, I don't think that would have worked as well. I think there would have been, it's sort of like, no, that wouldn't have happened like that. I don't think he would be that strong. So I'm glad that he's kind of like, he's got the sort of teachings of the Doctor going on in there in terms of what he's doing with aliens and how to deal with alien threats. But is he well equipped? Absolutely not. And the rest of the gang were even less so. And that's what I sort of appreciated from this episode, with it being a base under siege. They managed to kill Jack off for a little bit. So the likes of Gwen and Owen and Tosh have to sort of make their own sort of escape and obviously stop the Cyberwoman from escaping as well. So that was the sort of the fun part for me for this episode. The big downer for me for Cyberwoman is tonally, this episode is just off. I still can't really put my finger on it. So excuse me if I do ramble on in this episode, because just from script to camera to acting style to direction, it's just off and it just feels messy. It kind of looked like a low budget college project, and if that's what they were going for, then they did that to a T. I would give it an A star all week long. But for me, this episode just felt messy. For example, some of the acting styles in this episode is bizarre for me. Owen, when he sees the cyber conversion chamber, I mean, props for them identifying that, because that just was again a good call. They're not stupid. They know what certain aliens they are. They would have easily managed to find a way of infiltrating units' classified files, so they would know which aliens have arrived on Earth and how to deal with them. But yeah, Owen's delivery of finding out, he was basically just going, "It's a cyber conversion chamber. We've got a Cyberwoman, a Cyberman here," and it just felt weird. And I don't know whether I missed something in this episode, whether this is what happened to his previous partner or something. Maybe she got converted into a Cyberman. I don't know. So again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but just the way he went about delivering that line just felt off. And it's the same for John Barrowman, Captain Jack Harkness. There was just some really weird deliveries of lines when he was basically pointing a gun at Yanto's head, and he had this really long drooping sort of mouth and face was going, "What are you doing? You're part of a team." And it's just, that's not him. John Barrowman is a very talented actor and performer, and even he was, for me, from previous episodes and performances I've seen from him, it just was all very mismatched. Then out of nowhere, we get Owen and Gwen kiss. They're stuck on this in this bunker or air duct actually, and then yeah, they just get it on. Which I kind of understand, with it being, you know, a serious threat. They could die at any moment, and obviously they're finding comfort and solace in each other. But the fact that Gwen's married, I think, you know, or basically has got a boyfriend in Reese, I just found that such a head scratcher for me. I came into this episode not really watching the previous episodes, going into this review a few days ago, and from what I remember, I think it all started here, and then they had like a bit of a secret affair, but it just, again, just came out of nowhere. And you know, we're still trying to establish these characters. I felt with Gwen, don't get me wrong, Eve Miles did a fantastic job with Gwen, especially towards the end of Torchwood on TV. You know, she was, you know, she's really, really good, powerful, strong character. But I just felt that they threw so much at the wall to see what stuck, that, you know, I think that could have been a bit damaging for her character. You know, it's supposed to be, you know, she's the audience sort of view of Torchwood, and then we're kind of throwing that, you know, you're kind of making her a bit of a bad lady for cheating on a poor gullible husband. So yeah, it just didn't stick the landing for me. I think if they were going to do that again, I would have done that later in the series, and let it organically grow a bit more. Where here, I just felt it just came out of nowhere, kind of a bit like when Jack and Yanto kissed. Again, that, from what I remember, they didn't really go into that until Children on Earth, which again worked, organically grown. But here, Gwen and Owen just came out of nowhere, didn't do anything for me. And then I'm not even finished yet. This episode really went off the rails, because at one moment we had Jack covering the Cyberwoman in barbecue sauce. I'm surprised I didn't go with garlic sauce with that one. Bit of the old white stuff, you know, for them horny teenagers. But then we had the Cyberwoman fighting the pterodactyl, which I think behind the scenes they called it Mafanway. So we'll call it Mafanway here. And if this was the only out of place moment in this episode, I think this would have been quite a fun moment. Yeah, the CGI doesn't look great. I know it was on a low budget, so I'm not even going to go in that sort of side of it. But because everything else was just so off, this just kind of just went, what am I watching here? It's gone into masterpiece of ship theatre. The big finale for this episode was the scene between Yanto and Lisa slash Annie, the pizza delivery lady. Basically, Lisa managed to brain swap with Annie, who got caught in the crossfire delivering pizza. Poor Annie. How and why Lisa didn't just brain swap with Tosh or something? She could have just, hey, I'm going for a fresh breath of fresh air, and ta-da! There you go. You converted this, you know, the human race into Cybermen. But yeah, the brain swap was, yeah, very, very far-fetched for me in the time that they managed to do it. I don't think that would have ever worked. But then we've got this infamous piece of dialogue that Annie says to Yanto. No word of a lie, this was the dialogue. You always said you didn't love me for what I looked like. Last time you said that, it was a Saturday. We were hungover. You made cheese toasties and moaned I hadn't descaled the kettle. That night we camped on a beach in Brittany. It got so freezing we wore our coats and shared one sleeping bag. When we woke up the next morning, a dog was pissing on our tent. My poor fiance was asleep at the time when I was watching this episode, and I just burst out laughing when we had the pissing in the tent moment, waking up my poor fiance. I do apologise. Um, I don't mind the dialogue itself. That's very plausible dialogue for me. I'm sure, me and my fiance have had plenty of random stuff to say that you guys at home would be like, what are you on about? But because everything else was just so off the rails by that point, it was kind of like, that's it. I've gone. Yeah, it's just a car wreck of an episode for me. I'm going to give Cyberwoman a TARDIS rating of 5 out of 10. Like I said, there were some good concepts in here with the Cyberwoman and the romantic sort of, or just a person desperate to save the woman he loves between Lisa and Yanto, but it was just too far gone. But it's just buried under so much tonal mess. This episode was directed by James Strong, who did the season or series two parts of Doctor Who, The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit, and that looked really good. I remember it very well. But here, like I said, if it was meant to look like a low budget college project, then they did a really good job. But for me, I just think it looked a mess from script to screen. It was just tonally all over the place. I mean, the best shot was the final shot when you saw the whole set of Torchwood, and then you pan across to Yanto being, obviously upset and heartbroken. That was the best shot, and that was your final shot of the episode. It just showed how good the Torchwood set is. And here, especially with it being a base under siege, we got to see none of that, or it just looked really cheap and just flimsy. I mean, the best sort of makeup really was when the cybernetic expert, I've forgotten his name, do apologize, when Lisa tried to convert him and he looked quite a gruesome mess by the end of it. That looked really good and horrific. Torchwood at this time was still in its development stage. It didn't know quite how to approach itself or present itself on screen. Now, really, these should have been ironed out in pre-productions before the camera even started rolling, because to me, this was just didn't look good. I think there is still life for Torchwood, if it ever did come back as a TV spin-off. But as a standalone, watching this fresh-faced, with no rose-tinted glasses, I think you should have a drink or two and just have a good time with it. That's the only way I would personally enjoy this episode. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts to Cyberwoman. Did you love or hate this episode? And I know there's some massive fans of Torchwood out there, so I do apologise if I've really ripped this to shreds. If you love this and love the show, then absolutely all the more power to you, because I'm being really fascinated actually for all the fans of Torchwood. What are your favourite episodes of Torchwood that you would recommend me to watch and review in the future? Next time on Timey Wimey Review, I'll be looking at another Doctor Who spin-off, the Sarah Jane Adventures. Love is still in the air this week with the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Until then, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you do enjoy this review. I do apologise if you didn't. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Twitter at ReviewTimey. I'm also on TikTok for more Doctor Who fun. And do check out my other videos from the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Again, thank you for watching. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have a fantastic day, whatever you are doing. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.